The worst part about MW2 is how overcomplicated the settings are. Not only that, but there are settings that drastically change how your game look and perform that are almost hidden in places you wouldn't expect them to be. For example, if you go to Interface, Color Customization, switch your color filter to 2, make sure color filter target is on both, World Color Intensity 85, and Interface Color Intensity at 100. It'll change your game from looking like this to this. Anyways, in today's video, we're going to go over the best settings for Modern Warfare 2. Okay, to start off, we're going to go over our graphics settings. So straight down the line, and make sure you have full screen exclusive, dynamic resolution off, aspect ratio automatic, both VSyncs off. Then for custom frame rate limit, we have this on custom because we have our in-game at 300. And then when you're at your menu, you don't want your PC still overworking when it doesn't need to. Other than that, this is all default. So we go to the quality page. All right, for quality, we have render resolution at 100, upscaling using fidelity cast at 80. You can go more or less depending on what you like. I personally just think 80 looks the best. Anti-aliasing SMAAT2X, quality low, and then video memory scale at 90. For these next settings, I'm going to kind of read them off rapidly. I'm going to go very low, 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 short, low, very low, bullet impacts on, damage layers on, shader quality low, tessellation off, frame memory max, texture streaming, make sure you have that off, low, low, off, off, low, off, low, ultra, because this will help with frames, low, off, you don't want any reflections, off, low, and then off again. Video reflex, low latency, I have on, depth of field off. You don't want world motion blur and you don't want weapon motion blur, so make sure there's both off. And then to make your game look really crispy, take that film grain, turn it all the way down. I play 105 FOV, it's personal preference, so play whatever you like. I personally just think 105 works the best for me. Affected field of view, I haven't messed with a weapon field of view, I just had that on default. This is default. For camera, you want to make sure you change this from default all the way down to least. It'll make your screen shake less. And I think that's it for graphics settings. But you see, the thing about performance, there's a lot of things outside your in-game settings that have a big effect on how your game runs. That's why I'd like to give a huge shout out to FPShub. Last week I worked with the team over at FPShub and they were able to optimize my entire PC, making it run way smoother. Their PC optimization includes safe CPU, RAM, and GPU overclocking, which is done to improve your frame rates and, more importantly, make them very consistent. On top of that, they optimize my Windows settings, and as a lot of you have probably noticed in my last few videos, my audio sounds clearer, the footsteps are louder thanks to the custom audio settings that they set me up with. Biggest thing they stressed me is the safety and stability of what they were tuning my PC. They have great warranties on all their work, and if you have any issues, they'll fix them for no charge. If you have any questions, feel free to DM at FPShub Official on Twitter or click the link down below to check them out. All right, next, moving into audio. My audio mix, I have headphone bass boost. Then I have some custom volume set. I don't have any music volume. Turn the dialogue volume down, which is basically just the announcer talking in game. For me, it doesn't need to be as loud as it originally was, so I turned it down. This is default, and voice chat volume is also default. The only other audio setting I think you should turn on is this one. It basically makes it so the concussion and flash grenades aren't so loud, like the ringing. It takes it off, makes it more dull. Next, we'll go over some interface settings. And as I said earlier, make sure you have that color customization setting, filter 2, both 85, 100. Minimap square, rotation on. Horizontal compass, I don't think it needs to be on my screen, so I turned horizontal compass off. Crosshairs on, hit marker visuals on, damage-based hit markers on. And then the other setting that I highly recommend you turn on is the center dot. This will help you improve your centering, giving you a point of reference to center your gun, which will help you win more gunfight. And for center dot scale, I have it at default. I don't really want it that big personally. All right, for my controller, I play stick and move flipped, which basically means you jump with your right stick and I shoot with my bumpers instead of my triggers. Everything else is kind of default. I play 6.6.85, basically means that when I ADS is 0.85 of 6.6, and then the rest of these settings are default. If we go into advanced, I play with aim assist on. My aim assist type, I like default. If you don't like default, you can also try Black Ops. I've heard good things, but I also heard it got nerfed. I just stuck with default and it's worked for me. My aim response curve is dynamic. Something that most players don't use that I do is I have this on gradual. This is the ADS sensitivity transition. Basically, this is defaulted on instant. So when you ADS, it goes from 6.6 to 0.85 instantly, but I have mine on gradual. The only reason I have that is, I think it was a few games ago, I think it was Cold War that it defaulted to gradual. And then once it went from Cold War to Vanguard, it switched. So I stayed with gradual and I've just had it ever since. Dead zones. One thing about dead zones is you want these as low as you possibly can without having stick drift. Then another thing I do is I have my left stick max at 0.7 dead zone so that you can get into your full sprint a little bit faster. Also, I don't shoot with my triggers, so I haven't ever messed with the dead zones. If you shoot with your triggers, I would also make those as low as possible without you accidentally shooting. Gyro aiming, I have completely turned off. I don't want to mess with it. I've heard bad things if you turn it on, so make sure it's off. For movement behaviors, the only thing I think I've switched here is single tap run. Do single tap run because you're able to get into your tactical sprint faster. You don't have to click it twice. You only have to click your left stick one time. If you've been randomly mantling things, it's probably because one of these two settings is on. So make sure they're both off so you don't accidentally mantle something in the middle of a gunfight. I also have my inverted slide and dive behavior. Basically makes it hold to slide and tap to dive. So diving is way better in this game. So that's why I have that. Sprinting door bash is on. And then I think the rest of this is default. Anyways, that's it for my settings. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new here, hit the sub button. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.